Hey everybody, this is Meredith Miller, your integration coach, and this is the Sana Q&A series. This is the third question for today. I'm trying this new format, breaking up the questions into little segments instead of being one massive download. So we'll see how you guys like this new format. Hopefully you'll let me know in the comments. And as per usual, if you would like to submit a question for these Q&As, I'm going to put that link in the video description below, and you'll need to be logged into my website. You won't be able to access the page unless you're logged into my website. So if you aren't already with a login for my website, just go to www.innerintegration.com. Enter your name and email at the bottom in the little email opt-in. You'll get your personal login information, and then you'll be able to access the Sana Q&A page. Then when you scroll down, you'll see people are writing the questions in like a little comment plugin. So I'm using the Facebook comment plugin right now for people to be submitting those questions. That doesn't have to appear on your Facebook. You don't have to allow that onto your Facebook. It's just that I need to be able to verify the identity of everyone submitting questions. So that's why it's set up like that. And I do recognize a lot of people are nervous about using Facebook and whatnot for this sort of thing. I totally understand. If you want to write a question in the comments below, I may or may not see that before the Q&As. If I do, I'll grab that and I'll put it on my list, but I might not see it. I'm trying to direct as many of those questions as possible to that main page to save me a lot of time so that I can help you guys better. So this question comes from someone saying, the question I had was in regards to escaping the loneliness tied to PTSD. How do you allow people back in and push away from the oh so much desired isolation? It's almost painful to be social because I have faced most of it alone. I feel that facing everything alone is the only answer to my survival. So you are not alone in that. I think a lot of us felt very similar. I think the mistake that some people often make is sort of like this desperate seeking to connect and attach with other people, and that can be very dangerous. When the loneliness, sorry, Venus is snoring, hopefully that's not really bad in the background. When the loneliness, becomes so overwhelming, sometimes it just pushes people out to socialize with the wrong people, and they end up hanging out with people that they wouldn't want to hang out with, but just because they're so lonely and they want the social contact. I would really encourage people not to do that. I really encourage people to spend quality alone time. That is solitude, not loneliness, right? Solitude is you're alone, right? But you're not lonely, because there is a difference. The loneliness is like that craving for someone. And I remember, I think it was Dana in her Q&A session several months ago said something like, just like you don't go to the grocery store when you're hungry, don't go date when you're lonely. And I thought that's genius, because so many of us made that mistake. How many times did you make that mistake, right? Thinking, well, I'll just go out and date and I'll just meet some people and it doesn't have to be anything serious. And before you knew it, maybe the first one or two or three people that you met, now it's like a month later and you've been seeing them several times a week and you're getting into this relationship, but you're really not feeling it. And then you're suddenly realizing like, man, I'd actually rather just be alone than in this connection, right? So that kind of stuff can happen if you try to push it too quickly. It is very healthy to spend some alone time. Now, the question that this young woman asked is a question that I've had very similar thoughts about myself, and I've also heard other people say, where you get to that point where it's hard to trust other people, and it's for a reason, right? Because most of the people that you have trusted proved to be untrustworthy. So you learned not to extend that trust, not to create those immediate attachments with people, because you want to give them some time to see who they are, before you're getting in too deeply with them. So she says, how do you allow people back in and push away from that oh so much desired isolation? Like, if you're feeling that strong desire for isolation, for the solitude, maybe that's a sign you just need some time in solitude and you're not really ready yet to meet a lot of people. When you start to feel the desire to have more social connections, that's when you want to start to experiment more. It's really important to have a support network through this. They may not be your friends. They may not be people that you know in real life. Maybe you found a support group or a 12-step program or something like that where there's awesome people that you really resonate with, and you go there once or a few times a week, and that's like your saving grace. Or maybe you live in the middle of nowhere, or you just haven't found those local groups to connect with, and so you find the online support networks, other people who have been through this kind of abuse. When you have communication online with them, that is really important to the healing process, is like other people who get it, who know what you've been through, that support network. But when it comes to like just the social life in general, you got to listen to your intuition. Maybe you start getting out there a little more and being a little social, and you're at a bar or you're at a party or wherever, and you're looking around the room and everybody else seems to be having a really good time, and you're just not feeling it. You're like, this is just not my crowd. I don't really like to drink alcohol. I don't like the bar scene. I don't like all this superficial bullshit conversation. This just isn't vibing with me. And so I would actually rather be home in sweatpants right now, snuggled up with my dog, focusing on my passion and my purpose, or even just watching some kind of series that I really enjoy. And I enjoy that so much more than being out in some social environment that I'm not really vibing with. Maybe you're kind of similar. Maybe you're an introvert too. I'm an introvert. So, oops, just hit the tripod. I'm an introvert, so I get recharged spending time alone. Maybe you're also an introvert. Maybe you get most recharged and healed and all that spending time alone. Extroverts like to be around a lot of other people with a lot of excitement and energy going on. That's how they get charged and uplifted. If you're an introvert, how do you know that when you go out into social situations, you can only do that for like so many hours or days at a time, and then it's like you are craving that alone time. That's when you know you're an introvert. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to change yourself. That's who you are, right? You're more internally directed versus looking for that external stimulation. So, be there for yourself and find the things that you love to do, to focus on your passion and your purpose. And when you feel the drive to connect a little more, maybe some way to start is like networking events. I like to do that sometimes. They do meet at bars, which is not my favorite scene, but I'm willing to do it for an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, once or twice a month, just to connect with some new people, have a few conversations, see if anything connects business-wise or personally, and if not, then if not. But the awesome thing too is like you're not stuck anywhere. It's like this open house kind of environment. You show up between these hours, you maybe grab a drink or not and walk around and just have little conversations with people. And sometimes people keep those conversations real short, a couple minutes, because there's a lot of people to meet. And every now and then you meet someone that you really vibe with, and you end up talking for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and you exchange contact information, and you end up having some kind of professional or personal relationship outside of there. So anything can happen. And I think the awesome thing about those networking events is people are generally of good quality there, because they're looking to better themselves, they're looking to improve their career, they're looking to improve their network, they're trying to create rapport and good relationships with people. Of course you're going to find assholes everywhere, right? But generally, in that sense, like when people are being very honest and open about who they are, they're introducing themselves, like people aren't really going to be jerks in that situation unless they want everybody to know who they are, right? So chances are you're not going to be meeting a lot of jerks in that kind of situation. It's going to be very different than just going to a random bar and meeting random people who could be telling you anything, making up any story about who they are, thinking that they'll never see you again, or they'll never be like social proof or accountability or anything like that. So I do like the networking events for that reason. I would look online, look on Facebook, see what events are in your local area. I mean, especially, I know this young woman is an entrepreneur, like you're starting your own business, you're starting this passion and this purpose, you definitely want to connect with people who are doing other things like that, because you never know who you're going to meet. Maybe you meet the next person who's going to connect the next thing to this and that, or someone who's aligned with your business mission and whatnot. So awesome things can happen, and you can also overcome some of the social anxiety. You know, you didn't say that term here, but when you said it's almost painful to be social, what I feel is that there might be some social anxiety there. I recognize I had plenty of that. You know, when you grow up in a narcissistically abusive family dynamic, you have social awkwardness. Like it's just normal that you do, because of the awkwardness of that whole situation and how every family gathering or social gathering was awkward. You know, there was always this pretensing, and you had to pretend that everything was okay, and you had to pretend to be someone that you weren't. And so then you go out in public and then you meet people, and then you're instantly triggered back to that childhood thing of like, okay, gotta pretend like this and that, and gotta, you know, and you can't really be yourself and all of this. So to overcome the social anxiety, what I've found is that these networking events are great, because it's like the expectation is that you just walk up to people and strike up a conversation. So it's not nearly as awkward as going out to some other random place or even just a random bar and trying to talk to people who are in little isolated groups and may or may not be interested in talking, or may not think that you're hitting on them just because you want to have a conversation. So the networking events are really safe haven, I feel, for practicing the social connections and getting over that anxiety. And sometimes you actually have to present yourself. Maybe they give you 30 seconds, a microphone. Hey, I'm so-and-so, and this is what I do, and this is who I help. So if you want to talk to me, be sure to come up to me and talk to me today. You know, that kind of thing. So you're really putting yourself out there and in a very safe container, you know, where everybody is in the same boat. Like everybody has to do it. So you're not alone, you're not put on the spot, and it's not this awkward kind of thing. And you never know what will come of it. Maybe nothing does. Maybe you go to several of these events and you never really meet people that you really vibe with, but what you notice is that you're getting a lot more comfortable and confident just getting out there and talking to people. And that's really helpful, because especially if you're an entrepreneur, that's key, you know, to you thriving in your business, is how well you're able to talk with people and connect with other people. So, you know, and the other thing too, you said you feel that facing everything alone is the only answer to your survival. You learned that because of betrayal after betrayal after betrayal. Every time you formed an attachment with someone, they betrayed you in that attachment. So you've learned that to survive, you can only count on yourself. And I can really relate to that. And especially in terms of like the business and whatnot, you know, oftentimes you'll meet abusive people who come in trying to tell you, like trying to make themselves helpful for your business and telling you got to do this and you got to do that or whatever. And it's like, they didn't do it. Like, it's not like they're an entrepreneur and they created a business like yours and they're giving you advice that like a mentor or someone who's 2 to 10 steps ahead of you is giving you. No, that's the situation of like where, you know, you didn't even ask for directions, but it's like someone is giving you directions to a place they've never been with. You're going to get lost. That's bad advice. Don't listen to those people. Don't listen to the people who, you know, for example, like you start to have some level of success and then this person sends you a message, you know, like maybe you had some awesome breakout with something, you know, and then you get a message from someone that's like, you know, it's awesome that you did that and everything, but just remember, you know, you only need a little bit amount of money, you know, to get by and nothing more, and don't dream bigger. And they start to make you feel small, and they don't want to see you do well. Tune all of that out. Yeah, you're definitely right. It's better to be alone than to allow any of that into your reality. You are responsible for your reality. Right? No one else but you is responsible for your reality. If you don't like your reality, you have to change it. So, you know, if you learned that having, you know, inviting people in was very dangerous because they would betray you, it's smart to have boundaries. It's really smart to do most of that on your own, right? Until you're very confident with someone over a period of time, they're revealing their character to you and they're trustworthy, and, you know, something is going to work with them, with your business or even personal life. But you're right to have caution there, you know, and not just to let anyone in, because you've learned. You know, you've learned to have boundaries now to protect yourself from abusive, manipulative, exploitative people. So, you know, I found it's important to get comfortable with the solitude. And that is something that's hard, you know, for a lot of people, probably a lot harder for extroverts. to spend alone time, to spend time in solitude, because extroverts feel so recharged when they're around other people. So for those of you who are extroverts and you're feeling that loneliness, spend time in solitude. That's something you don't normally do. That's like those of us who are introverts practicing the social connections. That's really uncomfortable and awkward for us. For you, it might be just as awkward to spend alone time at home. So lean into that discomfort a little bit, block off some time. Maybe Friday nights now are dedicated to you. You hang out with you alone at home, doing whatever it is you want, either working on your passion and purpose, painting your toenails, taking a bath, watching a series on TV, snuggling with your dog, cooking, whatever it is that you enjoy doing. Make that time for yourself and get used to that, so that you know who you are and you don't lose your sense of self in a relationship again. That's the whole point of spending that alone time, is to get to know yourself so that you can be authentic, so that you can be your true self, so that you know what your values are, what your desires are, what you're looking for in life. That way, when you do go out, it's very clear, very quickly, your discernment tells you, nope, that's not working. Yeah, this feels awesome. Nope, that's not working. Nope, that's not working. Hey, this feels good over here. And that starts to become a lot easier. The more you know yourself, the more you spend alone time, and the more you embrace that solitude. So I'm sending you a big hug, because I know that's not easy. And I know it's really hard. I think probably one of the hardest struggles for those of us who have survived abuse is feeling so alone, feeling so alone. So if you don't have the social connections and you feel like spending a lot of alone time, but you still want the support of a support network, I would look on the online support networks. You can go in and out however little, as much as you want, and still feel and remember you're not alone. There's so many other people who went through this. There's so many other people who understand you. And there's so many other people who are there if you want to share something with them. So I'm sending you a big hug.